Johnny Cage.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is John Fears. Welcome back to Fears Man 26. We're at the 2021 Free Play convention in Orlando, Florida with Daniel Pesina. How we doing, sir?
Good, sir.
Nice to finally meet you after all this time.
Yeah.
So I got a couple questions. Richard was telling me you've been here the last 2 years?
I was here the last year.
Okay. So what's changed from last year to this year?
The event is in a bigger space.
Okay.
So last year we were in the old building.
Got it.
Next door. So they have expanded, so we have almost twice the space.
Yeah. Now, was there a lot more video games last year, or a mixture of both? Like, because Richard was telling me pinball and video games. Was it all video games last year? Or
No, there were
mixture.
There was a mixture, but last year there was more video games than pinball. This year seems like we have about the same pinball games, but I think the arcade game part has shrunk a little bit.
Gotcha.
To make room for other things.
So, but besides your guys' video games, like, did you have a favorite video game growing up, or do you have a favorite video game now? But like, besides the ones that you guys are in, like, what's a go-to one that you love to play?
Man, I love like Defender, like Centipede.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
You know, nowadays I don't play as much, but before I used to play a lot of Halo, a lot of Call of Duty.
Are you into
Resident Evil?
I was about to ask.
I do more shooter games than fighting games, because the fighting games never, like up to this day, the fighting games lack the
intensity?
martial art. No, the martial arts
Yes.
skill.
Yeah.
Doesn't translate yet. You know, even when we were doing Mortal Kombat, when I was trying to figure out the moves for the game, it was really limited. We realized, like, using that 2D, because everything was 2D.
Back then it was.
All the kicks would basically look like three kicks, like a axe kick, an inside crescent, an outside crescent, and a front kick on 2D all look the same.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you have like 5 kicks that all look the same. So it was my job to make sure that when the next person came in, we didn't waste time filming all those kicks, because we already knew that those kicks.
And I was telling my fans, I actually love more vintage video games, because I've told my fans, all my fans know, guys, I'm not good at video games. I like video games, but I'm not good at playing them. So I'd say my 3 go-to ones whenever I was a kid, in this order: Mortal Kombat, the very first one. I mean, I love 1 through 4, all the ones that you guys remember, but the first one's my fave. Second one is Super Mario Bros. 3, and then I love the first Mortal Kombat. So if you had to pick 3 of your top faves, what would be your top 3 favorite video games?
Video games all around, I would say, I'm going to say Resident
I know that's
Evil.
tough. I know it's a tough one.
No, I'm going to say Halo is number 1,
Okay.
Resident Evil number 2, and
Those are good.
Defender is number 3.
Okay, so to switch gears here, I asked Richard this question, so I'm going to ask you. When you got the call, for the job in Mortal Kombat, what was the very first? Because you played many characters in the very first Mortal Kombat. What was the very first one that they wanted you to start doing the moves for? Was it SubZero or Reptile, or what was the very first one?
It was nothing like that, because when I got the call from John, I lived with my parents back in that day.
I got you.
Younger. But he called my mom and dad's house, and my mom told me, "Hey, John Tobias called." And I was like, okay. I thought he was calling for my brother, because he's good friends with my brother.
Gotcha.
Great. Because I did hang out with him a few times, but he always hung out with Carlos more. So I was like, okay, I'll call him back. And then a couple days later, Rich DeVizio, Kano, calls me up and says, "Hey, John's been trying to call you. Call him back."
Okay.
And so I finally called him back, and we chatted. He was like, "Hey, congratulations on the Turtles."
Good thing you called him, buddy.
Yeah, good on Turtles, and I was like, "Oh, thanks." And then I was like, "What have you been up to?" And just catching up. He's like, "Oh, I work for this video game company." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. You're an artist for a video game." He goes like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Remember back in the day when we wanted to film like kung fu movies, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, you wanted to be a director,
Yeah.
and you know, make his own kung fu movies. And so I was like, yeah, I remember that. And he goes, well, now I want to do a martial art video game movie.
That's awesome.
But use real actors, but use real actors who know martial arts. And so he's like, so I know you got to help choreograph stuff in Turtles, and you help those guys with, you teach those guys martial arts.
And by the way, I love all of your martial arts videos. He puts a lot on his Facebook, guys. I love all your weapon videos on your Facebook. Well, one of my favorites is when you were doing nunchucks.
Okay.
That one's one of my favorites. You do a couple of those.
Yeah.
I love all those videos that you do on your Facebook. And so when you actually were on set, do you remember the very first moves for what character came first?
Well, actually, there was no character, because after that, John was like, hey, can you come down, choreograph some moves, bring Carlson and Rich with you.
Okay.
And then I'm going to show you the drawings I have, and then we're going to present that to Midway. So I came down, we played video games first because we could play for free instead of corners.
Nice.
So
nice.
We were in there, I played Defender, I think, for like
Dude,
40 minutes.
that's great. Working on a set, working on a feature video game, and having lunch with your buddies and playing video games at the same time, rock on.
Does not suck.
Does not suck at all.
So then John was like, we got to do this. So he showed me his drawings, and he had like 4 or 5 drawings of characters that he thought of. And one was Kano designed to look like Richard Vizio because he already had him in mind for characters.
Yep.
And so we built stuff and we presented that to Midway.
Okay.
And so originally, just to get on that, Midway, including Ed, we met with Ed.
Okay.
And originally they said no to the game.
Oh, wow.
So the original game was canceled for a while.
Oh, wow.
But then when we went to actual filming the game, because there was any game like this. So it wasn't like, there was really no direction.
I mean, this was like the first.
Yeah, so John set up his dad's camera, video camera, a high 8, which was, for a consumer, it was the best one you can buy, but it wasn't like a $40,000 professional camera.
And I've seen Rich and you upload some of that behind the scenes stuff, like on your Facebook and on Rich's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And it's great, guys, to see all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I have about 8 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I lent it to Josh Wafer and Sir Coin. So when you watch Sir Coin, that's my first.
So
But anyway,
when they actually turned it into like a job in a video game, what character did you resonate to first?
well, the whole thing was John and I spent about 7, 8 to 10 hour days trying to create a pathway to the game.
Okay.
Just seeing what would work, what would work. We kind of watched the video, we would do stuff. When he set up the camera, the first thing he said was, do something cool.
Yeah.
So there was really not any, direction yet because we didn't have anywhere to go. We didn't know.
So
where
you
we were going.
guys were just sitting on the seat of your pants, like,
Yeah.
all right, I'll just do this,
Yeah, we were taking a look at it. But eventually, it was like we had enough after those 7 days that we invited the programmer in, Ed, to take a look at what we created, what we had down, and get his opinion on how we could take that footage and create a video game out of it. So Ed came in and kind of would be like, we can't use this because it's, because there's hitboxes. So, if you walk forward and your hand is extended in your fighting posture, you would bump into that character and you would respond.
Exactly.
Even before anything happened. So I was like, oh, okay.
And it has to be real technical because a lot of your behind the scenes was in front of a blue screen. Or was it green screen? I'm sorry.
No, it was no screen. It was a wall. We didn't even paint the wall yet.
Oh,
it was a great
gotcha.
wall. We found for the first character that later on became named Johnny Cage.
Okay.
We just found a flat wall in a storage room.
So kind of like guerrilla film making.
Yeah. There was the lighting was only up above. There was no side lighting yet. If you watch the videos, you'll see how it grows from character to character. Meaning, like if you watch the Johnny Cage stuff at the beginning, because again, we would get ideas and then I'd have to come in again and film.
Yeah.
Because like the splits, we didn't film until like the very, very end of almost the Mortal
And that's
Kombat.
one of the best moves in the game.
So so it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna do that first. No, we did that after we've done right after we did Sonya.
Yeah.
So the order is Johnny Cage,
okay.
Then Kano, then
Raiden, okay.
And then originally it was only going to be Scorpion.
Got it.
And then because we were running out of time right after Raiden, we realized that he was like, we have to do a color swap because originally, I think we wanted to do like 9 characters.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, we were just losing time, and to create 7 characters, we were going to palette swap, which is a total different story of, of how that came up. But anyway, with the movement, so then we started with filming Johnny Cage and exploring how to make the video game further with that.
Got it. And you know what? A story that you were telling me, like just right now, guys, I bet you hardcore fans out there be like, wow, they didn't even film it in front of a green screen. They filmed it with one light in front of a gray, wall. Like, to me, that's amazing because, like, you guys started with nothing, build up probably one of the most famous video games of all time, and it all started with only one light in front of a gray wall.
Yeah, and to tell you how barbaric it was, John was like, get something, pick something out, pick up some biker shorts, show up. And so I showed up with the biker shorts. We started filming for a little bit, and then he's like, when you come in next time, bring a sash because with the lighting, there's no definition of the middle.
Was it his idea for the glasses or yours?
Eventually, we thought, we were kind of like, oh, it'd be cool because it's like, originally we were like, originally Johnny Cage was Daniel Rad, inspired by Daniel Rad, like a rich millionaire guy.
Got it.
So we were thinking later on, he was like, oh, we got to get glasses and stuff like that. So everything was like collaboration. But then we filmed it a little bit, and then John looked at it, and he's like, you know what? I got to mark the up above because when I bring in somebody else, everybody's a little bit, few inches higher view flow, so we had to do that. And so we was like, okay. So the next day he marked it, and we're filming, and then we looked at it again, and then the filming didn't match.
Oh,
and then I was just like, okay. So while he was erasing that, I started marking the floor. I was like, okay, well, this is going to be the center. And so if you look at footage of the creation of Mortal Kombat, there's a little box on the bottom that for people standing, that's like my design. I created that for that way we could bring in other characters, other personalities, and kind of match them up, and everybody would be standing or starting from the same position.
Another thing I wanted to ask is I asked Rich this too, and he said like when you guys got to set, kind of like what you were saying, like you kind of like put all the costumes together right on the spot and like pick some. I asked Richard, and he said, "No, John." He goes, "There was no costumes ready to go." He goes, "We had to create them." He said the creator had like pictures of kind of what the character looked like, but he said, "Grab this, grab that," and you guys kind of threw the. And I think it's great that you guys made your own costumes to kind of piece it together like piece by piece. And
yeah. When I made John change the Japanese ninja and introduce them into the Legend of the Lin Kuei because he's never heard of it at that point.
Yeah.
And I was a big Chinese martial art geek, so I was like, oh, it'd be cool. It'd be a unique game if we didn't have what was out there. Already. Everybody.
No one saw those masks ever.
It's actually the armor and stuff like that.
Yeah, like no one ever saw that.
No.
Until, like I remember.
Yeah, so I took John. He was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "It's the Lin Kuei." And he is like, "Let me borrow the book." And I was like, "No, because you'll rip it. I'll take you to the store to buy one." So together we went to the store, bought the book on the Lin Kuei.
Yeah.
That I wanted the ninjas to be, the Chinese ninjas to be. And then also we bought Rich's gi top for his Kano outfit. We bought the Johnny Cage bracelets too. And
I love the glasses
and
that you guys wore.
That's how we started.
Yeah, I love the glasses that he wore. It makes Johnny like, so he went from a millionaire to like kind of like a movie kind of star kind of guy.
Yeah, and too, that developed as we went.
Yeah.
Because originally he was like, walk out and strike a fighting pose. And I was like, well, I'm going to walk out and wave because I think I'm like, it's me.
Yeah.
If you watch Johnny Cage or Scorpion or SubZero, they have a lot of personality traits that are me because that's what I gave them because there was no other guidance. It's easier to act like yourself than try to create a character in a short amount of time. So I came out waving and he's like, oh, that's awesome, do it again. So then I came out, I was like, wait a minute. So I grabbed the sunglasses, put them here, because we were only going to use them for the final, like I was going to pose at the end with the glasses on like this, but we wanted it to be like a movie. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I had them in my back, I flip them out, and I'm going like this, and I flex, and I'm doing all this stuff like to get ready for the fight, and all that started. Johnny Cage started becoming a cocky guy because I am a cocky guy.
Yeah. So in the video game, it doesn't have to be from 1, 2, 3, any of the Mortal Kombat games. what's one of your favorite levels to play, like as a player, not as the actor? Like one of my favorites to play is the pit level. What would be one of your favorite levels? Like if you're just playing with like your guy friends, like what would be a level that you love?
I don't know the level, but I like the background where there's these guys in ropes kind of floating in the background. I don't know what level that is.
I know.
I really like the way the portal.
Portal.
I like the way that looks.
Yeah.
And two, and again, to give you an idea of what you're doing, when they were like, okay, you're gonna fall into a pit and it's just gonna be used like bent over, and they were like, lay on a chair, and I was like, no, you can't lay on a chair because it looks like I'm laying in a chair.
Exactly.
So, and two, I would not just be like that. If you are correct.
There it is.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Portal. So
I knew exactly what you were talking about. I just couldn't remember. Thank you, Justin. I couldn't remember the name of the other level.
So later on, I was like, it's kind of boring doing that. We should have a screenshot from the top, and I'm kicking and screaming because if you're gonna die, you're still a martial art guy. You still always got to fight in you. So when you go over, you're gonna kick the rapper, and I'm swearing like that. And John's laughing, but John was like, we're gonna put that idea sometimes. Sometimes you're gonna get the top view of a guy falling, and you see him kicking and screaming. So that's one of the also something that I.
Plus, if you fell off a balcony like that and you were plummeting to your death, you wouldn't just be like this. You'd be screaming like Dan said. Yeah. You're falling like 50 feet down into a pit. Plus, there's another pit where you get uppercutted and the pit's on the top. So it doesn't matter which way you go, you're dead. So.
Yeah, but because you're a fighting game, you're always fighting.
Exactly.
Even if you're dying, you're fighting.
So I got about two questions left. Did you see the new movie? And if you did see it, what were your thoughts on the new movie?
I think the opening scene with Scorpion and SubZero was really, really cool. The other, for me personally, the actors did pretty good, but it seemed like there was rushing in the editing.
Got you.
You know what I mean? There were 4 sets. I wish there were more sets. 2, it's Mortal Kombat. No main character should die, in my opinion, to the tournament because it is Mortal Kombat. You can't too early because then you got to justify why they relive, and that's kind of weird. But I thought all the actors did an awesome job. I think they should have just, again, and it's my opinion. I think that they should have just been like, hey guys, we had COVID. We need another 6 months to make a movie really for the fans.
Exactly.
But
there's
a little rushed.
There's things I like about it. There's things like you said that I didn't like. I felt the same way. I was a little rushed, but there's some amazing scenes. Like the ending fight scene between your character SubZero and Scorpion is amazing. It's fantastic.
Kung Lao's buzz hat scene.
Oh yeah.
His whole mimicry looked like Kung Lao. Yeah. I mean, I always refer to because when we created these characters in 1 and 2, they're our personalities.
Oh yeah.
So
you can totally see it.
So when you got the actors for the first movie or actors for the 50th movie, hopefully it lasts that long. Those guys are acting like us, really.
Dan, I guarantee you, when I'm 95, they'll still be making Mortal Kombat games. Seriously.
I hope so.
Seriously. Last question. I have to ask this because I asked Richard. You guys are best friends and stuff. It's a 2-part question. How was it working together like best buddies on the set? And what's your favorite finishing move for either your character or any other character? You get a favorite finishing move.
Well, again, we're creating, because again, the whole thing was when John said that we're going to come in for this game. We were like, he said, I can't pay you when you the first phone call. And I was like, oh. And he goes, but whatever idea you have for the game, if we can make it happen, I promise you it's going to happen. And I will give you creative credit for it.
That's awesome.
And I will give you the footage so you can use however you want to do. And that's why I have the footage, 8 hours of the surviving footage out of hundreds of hours.
And I'll tell you
video.
what, if I was in your shoes, I'd be like, look, it's a video game. I'm starting my career out. It's going to be a gamble, but I bet you it'll pay off. And guess what, guys? It did pay off.
Yeah. So, just that creative, there was no limitations. I made suggestions in the game, and we made them all work. for any of them, including the Linkway, putting Linkway in the game.
Plus, it must have been great working with your best friend.
Which leads to my favorite fatality is Sonya's Kiss of Death.
Oh, yes.
Because John was like, hey, we need a finishing move for Liz, because she didn't really have a name yet. Her name was Liz, and Liz was creating the character. Liz actually helped create the crab thing whenever you see that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Where she created the friendship. When John said, you got to think of a finishing move. And she looked at, and I was like, a way to kill the guy. And she was like, kill the guy? I don't want to kill anybody. I just want to be their friend. Why can't I give them a flower and be their friend?
Oh, that's awesome.
So the original friendship was Sonya Blade giving a flower, which was Liz Malecki.
That's awesome.
So
I didn't even know that. I'm a big fan. I had no idea.
I told John, John, I want the kiss of death. And John was like, you can't kiss in a video game. And I started laughing because I was like, no, it's not like that. We can kill each other, but you can't kiss each other. But I was like, no, I want her to go like this and blow and see a butterfly going like this, and when she hits it, it explodes.
And that's one of the greatest finishes.
And there's a couple of interviews where Sonya Blade, Liz Malecki is telling the story. She tells it much better than me. Because when she heard it, she was just like, oh my God, we love that. I just started smiling and laughing, and we started to have so many jokes about that. But, so that is my favorite one, is Sonya Blade's Kiss of Death.
And I was telling, I've got two favorite ones. One of yours, I love the ice freezing when you play the SubZero. You freeze him and then you just run up and uppercut him, smash it into a million pieces. That's one of my favorites. And I told Rich the other one is when you rip out the heart. Those two are my absolute faves from the original. Like, I've got some new ones like for future games, but I mean the first one is just legendary. So I just want to thank you and Rich for working on it. I've got so many memories of me and my friends. Like, we literally had tournaments. We would order pizza, stay over at each other's house, and play for hours on end. So it was great. It was a pleasure meeting you, sir. Have you got anything you want to plug, like Facebook or Instagram or anything you want to plug?
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook, Master Pesina, on Instagram, Master D Pesina, and you want to reach out. It was one of those things website, Master Pesina's website.
Awesome. Well,
so get over here.
Get over here. So.
Win. Fatality.